You can prep for hours, say all of the right things, and still walk out of an interview wondering what went wrong. Because the real reason that most people miss out on jobs isn't a lack of experience. It's the invisible traps that they hit without realizing. These traps quietly shake confidence, they cloud your message, and they leave the wrong impression, even if the rest of the interview goes well. This video walks you through 7 of those most common traps and how to avoid them with real examples that you can start using today. So you walk in sharp, self-assured, and ready to actually connect instead of just second guessing every word once it's over. Let's start with one of the most common traps that people fall into, giving a fake weakness. You know the ones, I'm a perfectionist, I work too hard. It sounds polished, but most interviewers are seeing straight through it. Why? Because it doesn't feel real. And more importantly, it doesn't show self-awareness. It often comes across as coached, outdated, or just trying too hard. Instead, I want you to choose something genuine, something that you've actually been working on, not a deep personal flaw, but a real skill or habit that you've improved recently. That shows growth, that shows maturity. And to answer it well, I recommend using the Carl method. Context, what's going on? Action, what did you do about it? Result, how did it turn out? And what did you learn? What was the thing that you took away? It keeps your answer grounded and focused on progress, not just the problem itself. If you want a full step-by-step on this, check out my video on how to talk about weaknesses. It is linked on the screen right now. Remember, this question isn't a trap if you approach it in this way. It's your chance to show that you're reflective, self-aware, and somebody who is actively growing. Trap number 2, rambling your way through tell me about yourself. This question sounds simple, but it trips up even experienced professionals. Most people either freeze, unsure where to start, or they launch into a 5, 10, 15-minute monologue that rehashes their entire resume, sometimes starting from their very first part-time job, or worse, what they have for breakfast. But here's why that's a trap. Your interviewer is not looking for a life story. They're listening for clarity, not chronology. They want to know if you can communicate your value in a way that is relevant to the role that is in front of you. If you ramble or overshare, you can come across as unfocused or even unsure of who you are as a professional. So instead, think of this answer as your highlight reel. A short, confident intro that hits 3 key beats. Where you started and what drew you into your field, what you've done recently, especially what's most relevant to this role, and why this opportunity makes sense for you right now. If you can deliver that in about 2 or 3 minutes, you've immediately signaled confidence, purpose, and alignment. And if you want help creating a standout version of that answer, I walk through it step by step in my full video on Tell Me About Yourself. I've linked that on the screen right now. Because here's the truth, how you start the interview sets the tone for everything that follows. It's really important, so don't miss it. Trap number 3 is one that catches high achievers all of the time. Over preparation. Now, don't get me wrong, preparation is essential, but there is a fine line between being prepared and being scripted. When you memorize your answers word for word and try to then deliver them like a performance, it almost always backfires. Why? Because you've lost connection. You sound robotic and you're so focused on getting every word right that you miss what's actually happening in the room. Most interviewers aren't looking for perfect answers. They're looking for real conversation. They want to hear, how do you think? How you reflect? How do you respond in the moment? And that's hard to do if you're stuck in your head trying to remember the exact sentence that you rehearsed in the mirror. So here's a better approach. Prep your points, not a script. Use frameworks like STAR or Carl to stay structured. Know the key messages that you want to land, but speak like a human being, not like you're reading from cue cards off camera. And give yourself permission to pause, to breathe, to think. An interview isn't a stage performance. It's a professional conversation with stakes, yes, but it's still a conversation. And in most cases, being natural is far more powerful than being polished. Trap number 4 is a subtle one, but it shows up all the time. And that's not reading the room. You may have even seen it before yourself. Somebody starts talking over people, missing body language cues, or delivering every answer in the same polished, monotonous, rehearsed tone, no matter what the question was. Here's the thing, interviews are not just about what you say, but about how you engage. Interviewers are watching for awareness. Are you picking up on the flow of the conversation? Are you noticing when they're trying to jump in and help you out? Are you responding to their tone, their body language, their reactions? If you miss those signals, it can come across as somebody with low emotional intelligence. And this is something the panels are really attuned to, especially for leadership or client-facing roles. So, what's the fix? Slow down, give them space to speak, and check in. After every answer, it's really okay to stop and ask, would you like me to expand on that? Or, was that the kind of example you were looking for? You're not losing control here, you're showing that you're collaborative, present, and responsive. But here's the best part. Those moments create space. Space for connection between you and the panel, space for dialogue, and that's where the real interview magic happens. Trap number 5 is speaking negatively about your last job. It might sound like this. My manager wasn't very supportive. There was a toxic work culture. I wasn't being challenged or invested in. And look, sometimes those things are completely true, but in an interview, how you talk about your past shapes how they imagine you in their future. Because whether they say it out loud or not, they're thinking, will this person speak about us like this in 6 months? So even if you're coming from a tough situation, the key is to focus forward. Talk about what you're looking for now, not everything that you went through before. Here's an example. Instead of saying, my manager micromanaged me, say something instead like, I've learned that I do my best work in environments that offer autonomy and trust. Same truth, different tone, much stronger impression. You're not pretending the past didn't happen, you're showing that you've processed it and that you're ready to move forward with clarity and professionalism. Trap number 6 is using language that undercuts your own credibility. You might not even notice it, but it slips out in little ways. I'm just a project officer. Does that make sense? Sorry, I'm rambling. I'm not sure if that was a good example. These phrases usually show up when we're nervous or trying to be humble or polite. But here's the thing, they quietly chip away at your confidence and they also dilute the impact of what you're trying to say. Even if your answer was strong, finishing it with, I hope that's what you were after, can make the interviewer second guess your answer too. So what's the fix? Say your piece and then let it land. You don't need to apologize, over-explain, or shrink yourself mid-sentence. It's okay to feel nerves, but don't hand them the reasons to doubt you. Own your space. You've earned the interview, so speak like you've earned the role too. Trap number 7 is being too passive in the interview. You're answering the questions, being polite, keeping it professional, but you're not really leading anything. And that's the trap because you risk fading into the background. An interview isn't just about responding to the prompts that you're given. It's your chance to show that you get the role, that you understand the organization, and that you know the kind of impact you can make there. When you're too passive, you miss the chance to steer the conversation, to highlight your strengths, your insight, and your alignment to what they actually need. The strongest candidates don't just respond, they connect, they bring energy, they speak with purpose. They draw the line between their experience and the outcomes that this role is here to deliver. You don't need to dominate the room or interrupt every question, but when there's a moment to lean in, take it. Clarify something, offer insight, ask a thoughtful follow-up. Because you're not just a passenger in this process, you're showing them what it looks like when you lead. Interviews are high pressure, no doubt about it, but they're also a chance to showcase how you think, how you work, and what really matters to you as a professional. When you avoid these traps, you're going to sound more prepared, more intentional, more self-aware, and importantly, ready to lead. And that's what interviewers remember. If this helped you spot something you've been doing or not doing, drop it in the comments. I'd love to know what landed for you and stood out the most. Hit like if this gave you a new perspective and subscribe if you want more straight talking career advice every single week. And hey, if you're actively interviewing right now, grab my free interview checklist below. It's linked in the description. It's the exact step-by-step prep I use with clients to help them walk in clear, calm, and confident. I'll see you in the next one. You've got this.